Welcome to Part 1 of Competency 5. For this competency, the teacher needs to understand attributes of functions, relations, and their graphs. This competency is still part of Domain 2 and is 33% of your TExES exam. In this video, we will work with properties of functions. Before we begin, let's review a few properties. First property is relations, which isn't a property. It's actually, let's just define it. Okay. It's a set of ordered pairs denoted as you see there. They have x1, x2. Well, that just means it's just a list of ordered pairs and it can be as long as you want. Now, that's a relation. A relation can be a function, and it's only a function if all the x values are different, distinct, unique. Okay? No repeats on the x values. Now, domain and range, we'll go over those in future videos. Now, related to being a function, that's going to be the old vertical line test. Notice the dashed lines only hit the green f of x curve once. Therefore, it is a function. G of x, however, the dashed line cuts through it or hits 2 points that are in the curve. Therefore, it is not a function. Number 1, given the set E equals this list of ordered pairs, fill in the blank so that E is not a function. Well, if you want it to not be a function, you need x to repeat the x values. So we're only looking at the x values. Okay, so if it repeats, we have either -5 or b. So that's what we need because we don't want function. Well, we have -5 on A, but the second one won't work. We need B. So mark that out. The option B says -5 and B as our x values. I agree. Let's select that. However, C, yeah, it's got B, but then it doesn't have -5. And D has neither B or -5. So verified B is our selection. Now, for the next one. Number 2, given the set E equals, and we're almost the same, except they changed to, instead of B, we have 1. But it's same difference. Fill in the blank so that E is a function. So that means no repeating x values. So we cannot have -5 or 1 as our blank because we can't repeat our x's. So that means A won't work, B won't work, C will work. So then we don't need D. So now let's use our option C and let's fill in that blank with a 4. Let's see what that would look like on the calculator. So push Stat and Edit is number 1. So push Enter. We want that. And I started entering them. See, I have -5 and Enter. Now, if you want to clear out your columns, just arrow up, highlight the L1, and push Clear, and then Enter. Never use Delete. And I say that in, I think, tons of videos. Okay, so let's go ahead and re-enter. I have -5 is my first x, then 1, then the 4 that we filled in. Now I'm going to arrow over to the right. All my y values go in my L2. So 4, enter, 2, enter, and 6, enter. Now double check that you have all your ordered pairs correct, and they are. Now what do we want to do? We want to exit out by saying second mode. Okay. And then let's push Stat again. Arrow over to calculate and let's look. Let's see if it makes a regression. It may not, we could just see what the dots look like. Let's try number 4 to see if it makes a regression. L1, L2, and let's save it in Y1. So let's use alpha trace, and as you see, it brings up my my Y1, Y2, my options here. So it'll save it in my graphs under the Y1. Okay, let's push enter and enter and enter again. Yeah, that doesn't make a good regression. We need that to be number 1, close to 1. It is not. So let's look at our graph that we're trying to make. We're trying to make it linear, and it's not linear. Let's graph it. It made a line of some kind. Okay. Okay, well, let's try this. Let's go second up, and let's turn it into a scatter plot. So see how number 1's highlighted? Push enter, and see how it's flashing on. Let's push that. Now it's actually on. Okay, and let's let's do scatter plot. And it's coming from L1, but we want that to be L2. So let's say second, number 2, and it is going to be square dots in green. Okay, I'm good with that. So let's go back to okay, it's on. All right. And I know it's on, but let's go back to my Y1. Let's grab that. See, I still have my Y1 on with how we forced it into a line. So let's graph and see what happens. Oh, look. Okay. And let's zoom in, zoom 6. Okay. This gives us an idea. Our dots are not really close enough to our line to really satisfy and say, hey, this is a true regression. Our pink line kind of goes through our green dots. But this gives you an idea of what we're looking at, okay? A relation is not necessarily a function. However, number 1, we would say is not a function, whereas number 2 is a function. And we'll talk about that more as the video goes on. Okay, let's look at number 3. Given the set F, okay, and we have a similar kind of set with pairs. Notice our pairs, like in number 1, are not all numbers. We have the word hat and Z, and we have a blank again. And the question is, what are the restrictions for the blank if F is a function? That means we cannot use 4, hat, or 9. We cannot use those. No repeats on those. So that means, let's read A. The blank must be filled in with 4, hat, and 9. No, we said they cannot be filled in. The blank must not be filled. Okay, it's B. Because C says the blank has no restrictions. No, there's a restriction if you want a function. Okay, and then D's none of the above, so no. B is what our restriction is. Now, there's other ways to word that. We could say, to be a function, we need any other element other than 4, hat, or 9. However you want to word it. It doesn't matter. It just depends on what on a test, how they word it. You just have to be really careful how you read them. Okay, number 4. Given the set S, and it is numbers, ordered pairs of numbers, given the set 0, 4, 3, 7, -6, 2, 3, -1, 10, and -5 is a function. The set S is a function. Okay, well, how do we know it's a function? Look at the X values. I'm highlighting them. Do you see any repeats highlighted? I do. I see a repeat here and a repeat here. Therefore, it is not a function, and 4 is false. Okay, moving on. For the next question, we will use the vertical line test. as we shown here before. We talked about it at the first of the video. Okay, so what are we really going to do? Number 5 says select the following graphs that are functions. Well, according to the vertical line test, if we draw a line through a curve and it only touches at one point, it is a function. Therefore, A is a function. Well, C is a function, but let's look at B. Nope, not a function, so we can't select B. And let's look at D. No matter where we draw a vertical line, it passes the test. E, however, it passes a test here, but it doesn't pass the test there. Oh, isn't that nice? It captured a line for me. Let's see if I can do it again. It doesn't always work on this thing. Let me see. Nope. See, didn't do it that time. Either way, that's not a function. Okay, let's see if I can do it for F. And there's my line. Nope. Another line. Nope. But anyway, it is a function. So in this case, A, C, D, and F are functions. Using the following to answer 6 and 7. Okay, all of these are sets. S, T, U, V, W, X, and Y. It says which of the sets from above are not functions. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and say who's a function, who's not a function. Okay, so set S, let's look at all of the X files. I'm just going to highlight them. And I see repeating threes, so this is not a function. Okay, let's just X that out. Oh, there, that's a better X. Okay, now T, okay, well, I already can see, even though it says what this means, it's a set notation. If you don't have a degree in math, you may not have ever seen this, or maybe you were fortunate enough to see it in high school. Okay, this means that every pair that's X and Y, that for this equation that we have here, which is linear because it's in the Y equals mx plus b form, y-intercept form, that for any non-negative value of x, okay? So we're just looking at everything that's negative. So let's take a look at what we mean here. Well, what I do is I just go to my y equals, clear it out, and I just put it in, okay? And then let's graph it. Oh, and I need to get rid of my, so let's turn this off. See, we need to turn this guy off right here. Okay, now let's graph. Ah, there we go. Okay, so if I go down, as you can see, it's just a straight line. And if we used the vertical line test, we would see that this is a function regardless of what this set is. But if we zoom, and we're going to have to zoom out and move it down. So let's highlight 3, only enter once, and then keep pushing the down button. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. And push enter again. So now it gives you the idea. So if we look at everything here, which would be the negative x values, that's in quadrant 3, all of that passes the the vertical line test. There you go. So that tells me that we can check mark T, it is a function. U, as you can see from looking at my x values, all the x values here, yes, that's a function. So use a function. V, now this, they're saying just look at all the real numbers. So just pop it in the calculator. So let's clear this out and say 1 minus x squared. It's going to be a parabola. So let's graph that. There we go. And if we put a line through that like the others, it will pass the vertical line test. So yes, that is a function. Now let's look at W. I can tell you right now by looking, that's the form of a circle, and a circle, regardless of what it says over here, I don't care what it says. That is, if it includes the -3 or 3 or not, that's what that means. Where it says inclusive, I don't care. It's a circle. Circles aren't functions, okay? So let's go and use our app and see where it says number 4, conics. Let's go to 4, and number 1 is circles. So you push enter, and then you want to put it in this second form. Push enter. Okay, we have A, B, C, and D. Well, some of these are going to be 0. So let's clear that out and put 1. Go down, clear that out, put 1. And C, that's going to be 0. And obviously D's inner 0. Okay, it's also 0. But that's our circle. And if we use the vertical line test naturally, there's no way that that's a function. Okay, so that gets an X. Now let's look at X. That is going to be an odd uh, function. It's to the third power. I already know what it's going to look like. Regardless of this restriction right here, I don't care. We can graph it. So let's go back to our y equals. Okay, let's escape from that and quit. There we go, y equals. All right, clear this out and let's look at, we have 5x, carried up to the third, and graph. And let's go ahead and zoom 6 it. There you go. And even if we look at 1, 2, this right here, regardless, as I said before, that is a function. It will pass the vertical line test. Oops, that did not switch over. Okay. Yes, it is a function. Now let's look at y. And every single value of the y is in order consecutive, therefore it is a function. So check mark on that. So we only have 2 that aren't functions, which are s and w. Therefore B is our option that we're looking for. All right, now number 7. Which of the sets from above are functions? We were looking for not functions. Now we're looking for which ones are functions. Well, all we have to do is look at what they gave us, the options that they gave us, and say, okay, if it has S or W, it's not a function because we're looking at are functions. This has S, this has W, this has S. So A has to be the only one that we're looking for because those are the 2 listed items for number 7 that we know are functions. Okay, this will be the last question in this video. Thank you for watching and sharing and liking and subscribing all our videos. Once again, guys, happy testing.